Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking about apples and how to select and store your apples when you get them home. Apples come in many varieties, and just about any grocery store that you walk into will have some fresh apples available. They may not all have the same options available, but they'll have apples. So what you want to look for in a fresh apple is something that is nice and firm and free of soft spots or blemishes in any way. And the firmness is and free of damage is the best thing in choosing a fresh apple. Apples come in organic or conventionally grown options. All stores will have conventionally grown apples unless it happens to be a health food store that has produce. Sometimes your traditional grocery stores will have organic apples. Now, if you are not sensitive to chemicals in any way, you can choose either way you want. And apples, conventionally grown apples, are just covered in an array of chemicals so that they're nice and pretty when you can choose from them at the grocery store. And I'm not faulting the growers for that at all, because I enjoy having my nice, pretty, fresh-looking apples at the store. But when you get them home, you want to make sure you wash them really, really well. If you are sensitive to the chemicals on apples, and I, for one, am. I have not always been that way, but I've grown to be that way. And there are two choices on what you can do. You can buy organic apples if you can find them, if you can afford them. Or you can buy conventionally grown apples and treat them in a special way when you get them home to remove a lot of the chemicals off of them. And I have used this method ever since I've discovered it, and it works, because if I eat a conventionally grown apple without treating it, I will get a headache, bad headache, fast. Within 5 minutes of eating it, I have a debilitating headache. But if I treat the apples this way, I can eat the peel and all with no problem. And I do have a separate video on this, and I'll put a link below on how to follow this technique to clean the pesticide and the chemical residues off your apple. But all you're doing is soaking the apples in a solution of 1 teaspoon of baking soda to 2 cups of water, and make sure that you weigh them down, otherwise they're going to float. You want them completely submerged. You want to soak them in that solution for 15 minutes. Now, you're obviously going to have to mix up as much solution as you need to cover your apples completely, so you'll be using more than a teaspoon of baking soda and more than 2 cups of water. But that is your ratio. So you have your options. Flavor is going to vary quite a bit from apple to apple, and when you try the different varieties of apples out there, you will find that there is a big difference in the flavor of the different apples, and I'll be going into that in another video. So once you've picked out your apples and you've brought them home, if you're going to treat them in that baking soda solution, you want to go ahead and do that right up front, and that way you know it's done, and when you go to eat your apples, you know that they've been treated and cleaned in that special way. Beyond that, you can store apples at room temperature, or you can store them in the refrigerator. They will last longer for you if you store them in the refrigerator. After they're picked, they're put in cold storage, which is just above freezing, so they are accustomed to being kept at very cold temperatures. And our refrigerator is actually warmer than that cold storage. Our refrigerators are typically up to 40 degrees, but they might keep them at 35 degrees or 34 degrees, just above freezing. And they're transported that way, and they're kept that way, but the refrigerator sections in the grocery store are not big enough to handle the volume of apples that they have. So they've got them out in the open bins. So store them in the refrigerator for the longest shelf life if you want to keep them for a while. The best way to store your apple would be to put them in the crisper drawer in the refrigerator, not in a plastic bag, just open in the crisper drawer of the refrigerator with the air vent open or on the low humidity setting. That will allow the ethylene gas that the apples produce to escape that compartment, and it will help to keep them fresh the longest time possible. If you have that vent closed, then that ethylene gas is going to build up in that drawer and it will cause the apples to age faster. If you notice that an apple has gotten a bruise on it or it's starting to age, take that apple and keep it away from the other apples, whether you eat it right away or put it elsewhere in the refrigerator. It's a good thing to do because it will age faster and it will cause the other apples around it to age faster as well. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. This is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. I hope this helps. Bye for now.